You know, when you look at a skyscraper, a bridge, or even just your own house, you probably think of the blueprints, right? Those big, detailed drawings that lay it all out. But behind those drawings, there's a whole other set of documents, something just as powerful, that really dictates how our world gets built. Today, we're going to dive into that hidden world and talk about construction specification.
And that's a fantastic question to kick things off. We all get the blueprint. It's the visual guide. But is that the whole story? Well, as you're about to find out, the answer is a big no. There's another hero in this story, one that works hand in hand with the drawings to turn a vision into a solid reality.
So let's start by getting this straight. What's the real difference between the drawings we all recognize and their powerful but kind of lesser-known partner, the specifications? Honestly, there's the real unsung heroes of every single successful construction project out there. Okay, this right here breaks it down perfectly. Think of it like this. The drawings, the blueprints, they tell you what to build and where it goes. They show you the shape, the size, all the geometry. But the specifications, that's the rule book. That tells you how to build it, with what materials and to what level of quality. So you've got the picture, and then you've got the actual instruction manual. So, if we want to get official for a second, construction specifications are those super detailed, written instructions that turn a design idea into a tangible, legally binding set of rules. They are the absolute final word on quality and methods, making sure everyone on the project is working from the very same playbook.
All right, so now we know what they are, but how do they actually work? Because, not all instructions are created equal. The type of spec you use can totally change how a project gets managed and built.
And this table lays it out beautifully. You've basically got four main flavors. First up is prescriptive. This one's super detailed, like use this exact screw, installed this exact way. The contractor has very little freedom. Then you've got the opposite, performance specs. This defines the goal, say, this wall needs to have a 2-hour fire rating, and then lets the contractor figure out the best way to get there. Proprietary is simple. It demands a specific brand like a particular window manufacturer. And finally, you've got reference specs, which just point to an established industry code, like an ASTM standard, which is basically a pre-approved universal rulebook for quality and safety.
Okay, but with all this information, how on earth do you keep it organized without it turning into total chaos? Well, the industry has a pretty brilliant solution, a standardized system called the CSI master format. You can think of it like the Dewey Decimal System for a library, but for building stuff. It neatly divides all the work, everything from concrete to electrical to paint, into these distinct divisions, so everybody on the job knows exactly where to look for their instructions. It's genius.
So here's the big question, right? Why go to all this trouble? Why write a whole book of rules when you already have a set of drawings? And the answer really is all about managing risk and guaranteeing success. It all boils down to these four critical things. First, you get design clarity. There's no room for guessing. That clarity leads directly to better cost control, because everyone is bidding on the exact same things. Third, you get measurable quality standards, so there's no arguing later about what good enough looks like. And finally, and this is a huge one, you get legal protection. When a window leaks and people start pointing fingers, the spec is the document that clarifies exactly what was required. It can literally save millions in a lawsuit. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Specifications aren't just some friendly suggestions. They are a legally binding part of the construction contract. When things go wrong, it's the spec book, not just the drawings, that everyone turns to for the final answer. It's the project's ultimate source of truth.
But it goes way beyond just materials and methods. Specs are also a critical defense system. They get deep into the weeds of safety and environmental protection. You could say they're the frontline defense against all kinds of hazards on a job site.
And we are talking about some really serious stuff here. From how to handle hazardous materials like asbestos and lead paint that you might find in older buildings, to managing soil that's contaminated with oil or pesticides from whatever was there before, the specs will lay out the exact procedures for handling, cleaning up, and disposing of this stuff, protecting both the workers and the world around them.
So where do these incredibly detailed documents even come from? I mean, they don't just magically appear, right? Nope. They actually evolve and grow in detail right alongside the design of the building itself.
And this shows that life cycle perfectly. Early on, in what's called schematic design, the specs are just some high-level goals. Then, as the design develops, specific materials get chosen. By the time you get to the construction documents phase, the specs are totally fleshed out and ready for contractors to use for their bids. And finally, during the actual construction, they become the day-to-day guide for building and inspecting all the work. It's a whole process.
So here's the big takeaway. Specifications are that vital, dynamic link between an architect's vision and the final built reality. They're the thing that ensures the quality, the safety, and the durability that was imagined on paper is what actually gets delivered on site down to the very last screw.
So I'm going to leave you with this. The next time you walk into a building and admire the design, think beyond what you can see. Think about the hundreds of pages of unseen rules, the specifications, that guided every single decision, every material, and every action that brought that structure to life. It's that hidden rulebook that's really holding it all together.